Hi Firsties, Miss Palmer here. I'm doing your reading lesson this week. I know you're used to seeing Miss Bale, but I have a really cool book that I wanted to read with you guys and talk to you guys about. So I am doing reading this week and Miss Bale is doing writing this week. So I hope you enjoy her writing lesson and I hope you enjoy my reading lesson. The book that we're going to be reading today is called A Tale of Two Beasts. And this is a story that is clearly told from two different points of view. Okay, and you can probably see the two main characters right here on the front. So we're going to learn about these two characters and they're going to tell us the same story, but how they viewed the story happening. So it's kind of silly and funny and sweet all at the same time. I think you all will really, really like it, and then I'll tell you what to do after we're done reading. Okay? So it's called A Tale of Two Beasts. Part 1, The Strange Beast. I was walking home from Grandma's house through the deep, dark woods when I spied a strange little beast. He was stuck up a tree and whining sadly. He's saying, beep, 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 beep. So I decided to rescue him. I will call you Fang, I told him, and I wrapped him up warmly in my scarf and carried him home safely. Make sure you're checking out the pictures too. You can kind of see some clues maybe about how Mr. Fang the Beast feels here. His eyes are really big and he looks kind of confused. I gave him a lovely bath and a gorgeous new hat and sweater and a delicious bowl of fresh nuts. I made him a beautiful house and gave him Lord Rex to play with. I'm not so sure he's feeling super happy. I took him out for lots of walkies to keep him fit and healthy. And I showed him off to all my friends who loved him nearly as much as me. Awesome, so cute. Ooh, amazing. But for some strange reason, the little beast did not look very happy. In fact, he was looking rather hot. I hope he's not sick, I thought, and opened the window to cool him down. Then something terrible happened. He threw off his clothes and leaped out of the window, Fang! Feep! And ran away as fast as he could, back to the deep, dark woods. I wanted to go and look for him, but Mama had other plans. Dinner time, bleh. Bath time, bedtime, grrr. I couldn't sleep. I missed the little beast and wondered if I'd ever see him again. But then a small, funny shadow appeared at the foot of my bed. What do you predict that shadow could be? The strange little beast had returned. He seemed quite pleased to see me. And I began to think, maybe, just maybe, he wasn't that strange after all. I wonder why he came back. Part 2, The Terrible Beast. I was hanging from my favorite tree, singing happily to the birds when tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la. I was ambushed by a terrible beast. She growled at me and tied me up and carried me off to her secret lair. She made me disgustingly clean and dressed me up in a ridiculous hat and sweater and tried to make me eat squirrel food. She kept me in a tiny box with nothing for me to do and nowhere for me to hang from. She made me walk backwards and forwards and backwards again for no reason whatsoever. She showed me off to her herd of even wilder beasts who were just as terrible as she was. I had had enough. I made a cunning plan and put it straight into action. A plus B equals freedom. Free once more! Woohoo! I raced back to the deep dark woods before the terrible beast could catch me. It was peaceful in the deep dark woods. A bit too peaceful, perhaps. And also a bit wet. In weather like this, one could do with such a nice warm hat. I snuck back to retrieve it under cover of darkness. The terrible beast was waiting for me. She seemed quite pleased to see me, and I began to think that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't that terrible after all. The end. So I hope you enjoyed that book as much as I do. I love reading that story. I think it's super funny and sweet and cute, and I really, really love it, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. You can clearly tell in this book it's told from one point of view in part 1, and then another point of view in part 2. So what you all are going to do this week is you're going to go back to Seesaw, and on Seesaw there is going to be a graphic organizer for you to do. This graphic organizer is going to have you tell me about the person who told the story from part 1, the beginning, and how did you know that person was telling the story? Maybe some things that happened during that part of the story. And then you're going to tell me who was telling the story in part 2 and some things in that story and how you knew that that person was telling that story. So if you need to rewatch this again, just so you have some clues that you can write down about who was telling the story from one point versus who was telling the story from another, then make sure you rewatch this video again. I hope you all enjoyed this book, and I can't wait to see your little drawings and your reasons for who was telling the story from different points of view. So you all have a great week and get busy working.